these questions very patiently, I really do. So coming back to the process, or the revised process as it was described, the rubric forms that were filled out, they weren't given to the applicants.
No. What was given to the applicant, what we asked the panelists to do is use those to, as they were reviewing, to capture their questions and concerns. And then what they did is, prior to May 16th, they sent them all to me, to Kathy Peavy, who helped me, and we organized them and categorized them for the applicant and sent them all to the applicants.
So can you assure us that you captured everything and that anything that weighed in the decision was communicated to the applicant?
I can tell you what was sent to us was sent to the applicant. Now, that's not to say things came up, because as I said before, the recommendation was based on three things: the reading of the application, the presentation, so that is things that were said orally at the presentation, as well as the substance of the discussions at the consensus meeting.
So my next question then in the process is, so there are these questions, and they're more than extensive, and yet I understand that the applicants weren't actually given an opportunity to respond to each and every single question, even if they wanted to.
The expectation was, well, they could use their 2 hours. However,
why couldn't they give it to you in writing?
Well, because one of the things that we had gotten feedback last year from our panelists was we had allowed, after the presentation, additional documents, and you can see from the number of documents you currently have how overwhelming that was for people. We have people who have full-time jobs that are not with MCPS, and so one of the pieces of feedback that we got last year was that the acceptance of documentation, additional supplemental documentation after the question and answer was oppressive, and particularly our volunteer panelists really urged us not to allow that this year. So what we believed was that giving the applicant the 2 hours to address in any form they chose the questions and concerns that they received in advance would be sufficient. And I think that the panelists, and we'll see when we get the feedback this year, but it's my belief at this point that the panelists felt like they had enough going into the consensus meeting. They felt comfortable making a recommendation.
Let me go back to...
I just want one point to that. A distinction between the process we used last year, where we received additional information after the meeting, was that we didn't tell the applicants in advance what the questions and concerns were. So to sort of mitigate getting all of the information afterwards, we told them up front what the concerns were. And so that's how we came to the process of giving them all the questions.
I guess my concern is, there's like 1,000 questions here, and maybe they hit it in the 2 hours and maybe they didn't.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think we realized that the quantity of questions was daunting. And so it was decided that we would indeed try to summarize and synthesize those questions and give them not only the full laundry list of questions, but also give the applicants the synthesis.
So you're saying they really only had to respond to the synthesis to satisfy your concerns?
Because what the synthesis did was say, give us some more information on this topic. Provide us more detail about this topic. Elaborate on this topic. And the opportunity was there to address those topics more fully, to clarify more fully, rather than either way. Address the synthesis, answer the question.